Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. Hello, dear colleagues. Today, we are glad to welcome you at our presentation. Now, we are going to present to you some information about natural disasters such as floods, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, fires, and earthquakes. Our presentations include information about causes of these disasters and how to deal with them. And the first presentation is going to be about hurricanes. So please welcome Artem Gavrishev and Malafeyeva Darya.
This is certainly Dasha. Good day, and we're going to tell you about hurricanes. Dasha, please do the introduction. So our topic today is hurricanes, so we better listen carefully, guys, because the topic is of major importance. And despite the fact that we Russians lack in hurricanes, which is probably a good point, you might want to travel someday, right? A hurricane is a severe tropical storm that forms in the North Atlantic Ocean, the Northeast Pacific Ocean, or the South Pacific Ocean. Hurricanes need warm tropical oceans, moisture, and light winds around them. If the right conditions last long enough, a hurricane can produce violent winds, incredible waves, torrential rains, and floods. In other regions of the world, hurricanes are called with different names. So in the Northwest Pacific Ocean, they're called typhoons. In the Southwest Pacific Ocean or Southeast Indian Ocean, they're called severe tropical cyclone. In the North Indian Ocean, they're called severe cyclonic storm, and in the Southwest Indian Ocean, they're called tropical cyclone. Hurricanes rotate in a counterclockwise direction around an eye. A tropical storm becomes a hurricane when winds reach 74 miles per hour, which is approximately 119 kilometers per hour. There are on average 6 Atlantic hurricanes each year. Over a 3-year period, approximately 5 hurricanes strike the United States coastline from Texas to Maine. The Atlantic hurricane season begins on the 1st of June and ends on the 30th of November. The East Pacific hurricane season runs from the 15th of May through the 30th of November, with peak activity occurring during July through September. In a normal season, the East Pacific would expect 15 or 16 tropical storms. None of these will become hurricanes, of which 3 or 4 become major hurricanes. When hurricanes move on to land, the heavy rain, strong winds, heavy waves can damage buildings, trees, and cars. Heavy waves are called a storm surge. A storm surge is very dangerous and is the most important thing, is the major thing why you should stay away from ocean during hurricane. This is basically how a hurricane is seen from the space. So you can see that it moves really fast, and you can see that it runs counterclockwise, and you can see the black spots, not just white, black spots in the middle, that is an eye. Dasha, you're welcome.
Thank you. Before hurricane. To be prepared for a hurricane, you should take the following measures. Install extra clips to securely fasten your roof to the frame structure. This will reduce the roof damage. Be sure that dangerous trees around your home are cut. Find out how and where to secure your boat. Consider building a safe roof. During a hurricane. In a hurricane, if hurricane is likely in your area, you should listen to TV or radio for information. Turn off utilities if instructed to do so. Turn the refrigerator thermostat to its coldest setting and keep its door closed. Turn off propane tanks. Avoid using the phone except for serious emergencies. Inflate your boat if time permits. Ensure a supply of water for sanitary purpose. Fill the bathtub and another large containers with water. You should evacuate under the following conditions, if you are directed by local authorities to do so, and be sure to follow their advices. If you live in a mobile home or temporary structure, such shelters are particularly dangerous during a hurricane, no matter how well fastened to the ground. If you live in a high-rise building, hurricane winds are stronger at the higher elevation. If you live on the coast, on the floodplain, or near the river. And of course, if you feel you are in danger. If you are unable to evacuate, go to a safe room. If you do not have one, follow these instructions. Stay indoors during a hurricane and away from windows and glass doors. Keep curtains and blinds closed. Do not be fooled if there is a lull. It could be the eye or the storm. Winds will pick up again. Take shelters in a small room or hallway on the lowest level. Lie on the floor, under a table or another strong object. Thank you.
Thank you guys. And now we are going to listen about fires. And the presenters are Elena Tanayan and Elena Isayeva.
Good morning. Today we are speaking about disasters, and our report is about fires. One of the hostels of the Russian Friendship University. In the 8th of December in 2003, a hostel of Russian Friendship University was charged with fire. At least 36 people died and 170 were injured. Some hurt as they jumped from the building, others frostbitten as they waited for help in the snow. Investigators found the building of the hostel lacked an alarm system and an evacuation plan. The dead include 3 Chinese, one from Sri Lanka, an Ecuadorian, a Vietnamese, and a student from Guinea-Bissau. Russian officials have suggested there may have been an electrical problem or a fault with an appliance being used in a room. According to the report of Vladimir Rudin, a deputy chief of the Russian fire service, the hostel lacked alarms and evacuation plan for its residents, many of whom had just arrived in Moscow and spoke little Russian. Furthermore, from the report of Eduard Vorobyov, the Deputy Minister of Emergencies, the tragedy occurred because of bad organization and poor technical equipment. The Russian government has promised to review fire safety measures for students in the aftermath of the blaze. One student from the university told BBC News Online that the confusion would have been compounded by housewarming celebrations in the hostel at that weekend. Citing the email of Anastasia, these foreigners were newcomers and didn't speak Russian at all. As a result, they didn't understand the word when the chief of the hostel trying to wake them up, running the corridors, and calling up to leave their rooms and save their lives. Moreover, it was the first weekend for the students in this hostel, so they spent the whole day celebrating the housewarming, and of course a lot of alcohol was drunk. The fire swept through one wing of the hostel where 272 students were registered. Initial reports said that the home countries of the dead and injured were China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Angola, Ivory Coast, Haiti, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Dominican Republic, Lebanon, Peru, Malaysia, Mongolia, India, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. And in addition, several Russian students also died in the blaze. And now my partner Lena will tell you about some security measures to protect yourself from the fire and during.
During a fire, time is the biggest enemy, and every second counts. What should you do to prepare in case of a fire in your home or business? Well, first of all, remind everyone to escape first, then call for help. Develop a fire escape plan and designate a meeting place outside. Practice the escape plan frequently. Plan 2 ways to escape from each room if possible. Practice feeling the way out with eyes closed. Remind everyone never to stand up during a fire, always crawl under the smoke and keep mouths covered to protect your lungs from deadly gases. The most important thing is to instruct everyone never to return to a burning building for any reason. It may cost your own life. How can you avoid the 3 most common causes of fires at home? First of all, never leave cooking food unattended. Cooking fires often result from unattended cooking and human error rather than mechanical failure. Stay alert when smoking. Careless smoking is the main cause of fire deaths. Maintain your heating system. Heating is the second main cause of residential fires. However, heating fires are a larger problem in single-family homes than in apartments. Unlike apartments, the heating systems in single-family homes are often not professionally maintained. And since fires produce smoke and deadly gases that can overcome occupants while sleeping, smoke detectors should be installed outside each separate room and in the immediate vicinity of the bedrooms and on each additional story of the family living unit, including basements. And please, everyone, ask yourself if you know how to use an extinguisher.
Thank you, Sima. And now three of our colleagues, Oskova Svetlana, Rybenkova Olga, and Dmitriev Alexandra, are going to tell you about volcanic eruption. Please welcome.
I would like to tell you about the most historical and tragical invasion.
Can't hear you well here. Speak up, please.
Sorry, my name is Sveta. I would like to tell you about the Vesuvius eruption in 79 AD, which took place in Italy in Pompeii. Mount Vesuvius is situated on the east of Naples, Italy. It is the only volcano on the European mainland to have erupted within the last 100 years. Also, it is not currently eruption. There were other 2 such volcanoes in Italy, Etna and Stromboli, located on islands. Vesuvius on the coast of the Bay of Naples, about 9 kilometers east of Naples and a short distance from the shore. The eruption of Vesuvius took place in 79 AD. By the 1st century, Pompeii was only one of a number of towns. Next slide, please. Pompeii was only one of a number of towns located around the base of Mount Vesuvius. The area had a substantial population which grew prosperous from the region's renowned agriculture fertile. Many of Pompeii's neighboring communities, most famously Herculaneum, also suffered damage or destruction during the 79 eruption, which is thought to have lasted about 90 hours. In this time, the volcano released about 1 cubic mile. Next slide, please. The 79 eruption was preceded by a powerful earthquake 17 years beforehand, on 5 February 1692, which caused widespread destruction around the Bay of Naples, and particularly to Pompeii. Some of the damage had still not been repaired when the volcano erupted. However, this may have been a tectonic event rather than one associated with the awakening from the volcano. Next slide. Tina the Younger, the only surviving reliable eyewitness account of the event, was recorded by Queen the Younger in 2 letters to the historian Tacitus. Observing it from museum, it's about 35 kilometers from the volcano. While his uncle sailed closer, he saw an extraordinary dense and rapidly rising cloud appearing above the mountain. That's how he described what he saw. I can't give you a more exact description of this figure than by resembling it to that of a pine tree could shout out to a great height in the form of a tall trunk which spread out its top and saw into branches. It appeared sometimes bright and sometimes darkly spot, as it was either more or less filled with earth and cinders. This was eruption column now estimated to have been more than 32 kilometers tall. After some time, he described the cloud rushing down the flanks of the mountain and covering everything around it, including the surrounding sea. This is known today as a plastic cloud, which is a cloud of heavy gas, ash, and rock that erupts from a volcano. He also noted that ash was falling in very thick sheets, and the village he was in had to be located. And then the sun was blocked out by the eruption, and daylight hours were left in darkness. Also, the sea was shocked away and forced back by an earthquake, a phenomenon called its tsunami. Pliny's uncle, Pliny the Elder, was in command of the Roman fleet at Musa. Unfortunately, he died. And in the first letter to Tacitus, his nephew suggested that this was due to the inhalation of poisons. However, Stable was 60 kilometers from the band, and his companies were apparently unaffected by the fumes, and so it is more likely that the propellant really died through different causes, such as a stroke or heart attack. His body was found with no apparent injuries on 26 August after the tomb had displayed separately for burial to return.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you.
Now I will continue with the thing about orphans.
I'd like to talk about risk zones around the active volcano. Extreme risk zone. This is the area with intensive interest on active wind. This is the death zone. Only to be approached under extreme circumstances with a good reason to be there. This location is subject to great earthquakes, extreme temperatures, choking and toxic gases, falling projectiles, and unstable terrain. An eruption may give 30 seconds warning at most. This region is in valuable with life. It is suggested to stay within the zone. Examples of extreme risk zones: Summit Sushabia, Strongly, Santa Maria, Caleres, Past others. If you don't know the current state of volcanic activity, then don't approach the vents. High risk zone from 100 meters to 300 meters. This is the area on the edge of the crater. In eruption, you are in danger. And you only have a 50% chance of survival here in a larger than normal eruption. This is usually the closest you should approach an active volcano under ideal conditions. Medium risk zone from 300 meters to 3 kilometers. At any time, bombs can be expelled to this distance. Spending hours in this zone may be okay, but keep a careful watch on activity and follow the instructions of rats. For example, on Etna, the zone suddenly became dangerous without warning when a crater activated on over 60 km. Low risk zone from 3 kilometers to 10 kilometers. There is a low risk of injury from an eruption in this zone. Bombs may fall in this zone during a large eruption. In July 2000, Kokarki volcanic gyres expelled bombs to 9 kilometers. Eruption of volcanic explosion index 3 and also occur every few months on Earth and create hazards in this area. There is a safe zone for habitation beyond 10 kilometers. Only a few large eruptions will affect this area. Rift zone of use of eruption may send lava flows more than 10 kilometers from the source. Lavas are capable of traveling from over 10 kilometers down the side of the volcano. The great lavas of Nevada de la Luz volcano traveled 100 kilometers and destroyed the town of narrow 73 kilometers from the source. Making judgment to enter these zones is a personal choice. People react differently under stress. Beware of the mesmerizing effect of a volcano. Like watching the waves crash onto the shore, you can be lulled into an hypnotic state of false security. And now Sasha will continue.
Well, I'm here to give you some safety recommendations if you are going to visit the volcano. The first point is just you should read about past eruptions. Of course, eruptions just continue, and if you know what happened with the current volcano you're going to visit in the past, you can predict what is going to happen in the future. Second point is observe the volcano. Scientists recommend to observe at least 24 hours, sometimes 3 days, because the volcano is just active, and if you see that something is going wrong, you better not go and visit it. Third point is know the current volcano warning level, because they are just different, and you have to know that the current volcano you are going to visit is safe. So you should answer the people who are living next to the volcano and ask them. The fourth point is travel with a guide. It's very important, because you have to have somebody who is experienced next to you, because if you have some problems, nobody will help you. But the man who knows what to do will save your life. The fifth point is that you should take the current equipment and wear it all the times you're at the volcano. I also have to say that if you only take the equipment with you, you can die even if you have it, because you have to put it on yourself. And the sixth point is beware of many sources of danger on the volcano. Volcano produce the very specific atmosphere next to his peak, so there are many different insects and even animals and plants that you don't know, so you have to prevent that, you should know about that you can be injured by them. The seventh point is watch out when climbing the crater, because falling rocks and unstable ground pose one of the most immediate hazards when climbing a volcano. You should also watch your companions if something goes wrong with them. Eighth point is limit your time in the danger zone. You shouldn't stay there more than 10-15 minutes. It will be the awful mistake if you stay there for hours, because nobody knows what happened with the volcano next. Ninth point is exit the danger zone before sunset, because when night falls, it will be very hard for savers to rescue you if something goes wrong. The 10th point is be sure you can deal with problems, because, for example, visibility might suddenly reduce to almost zero without any warning. If you find yourself in a low visibility, you should just sit and wait for the situation will go better. And you shouldn't go further because it will cause very dangerous consequences. The 11th point is look for warning signs of an eruption. Explosive activity may be preceded by earthquakes and rock falls. You have only few seconds to rescue, but I think it will help. 12th point is don't stay if it becomes dangerous. And 13th point is I will tell you how to act if you are just caught in an eruption. You have 30% chance of survival if you're caught in an eruption, but there are some advices. Watch for vertical projectiles, and you should find some boulders to hide because it will help you. Also, don't forget about equipment, because gloves on your heads will help you not to get burnt, because that boulders might become very hot. And next.
And the last.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm terribly sorry for the previous presentation slides. We have some minor technical problems, but not to worry. Now please give a round of applause for the next presentation group, John and Ira, to tell you about
So, good morning. Now we,
Irina,
and Artem, are going to tell you about one of the deadliest disasters in the world, about floods. Floods are one of the most common hazards in the world. Floods effects can be local, impacting a neighborhood or community, or very large, affecting entire river basins and multiple states. Floods usually are local, short-lived events that can happen suddenly, sometimes with little or no warning. They usually are caused by intense storms that produce more runoff than an area can store or a stream can carry within its normal channel.
rivers can also flood when dams fail, when ice jams or landslides temporarily block a channel, or when snow melts rapidly. In a broader sense, normally dry land can be flooded by high lake levels, by high tides, or by waves driven ashore by strong winds. Small streams are subject to floods which usually last from several minutes to several hours, while larger streams usually cause floods lasting from several hours to several days. And a series of storms might keep a river level above flood stage for several weeks.
There are several types of floods: river flood,
Coastal flood,
urban flood,
flash flood, and ice jam. Coastal flood. Coastal flooding can be produced by sea waves, which are called tsunamis, sometimes referred to as tidal waves. These waves are produced by volcanic activity or earthquakes.
River floods occur seasonally when winter or spring rains, coupled with melting snows, and fill river basins with too much water too quickly. Torrential rains from decaying hurricanes or tropical systems can also produce river flooding.
Flash floods often have a dangerous wall of roaring water, which brings rocks, mud, and other debris, and can sweep away most things on its path.
Urban flood. As land is converted from fields and woodlands to roads and parking lots, it loses its ability to absorb rainfall. During periods of urban flooding, streets can become swift-moving rivers, while basements can become death traps as they fill with water.
And the floating ice can accumulate at a natural or man-made obstruction and stop the flow of water.
In most years, flooding causes more death and damage than any other severe weather. According to World Meteorological Organization, more than 17 million people from more than 80 countries suffered from floods during last year. As a result of the disaster, about 3,000 people died. 8 million square kilometers were flooded, and the total damage was estimated at $30 billion. Floods are not only very destructive, but also unpredictable, and this fact makes us learn how to protect ourselves in order to be ready to act when disaster strikes.
If flood is likely in the area where you live, you should listen for this advice. Listen for the radio or television for information.
Be aware that flash flooding can occur. If there is any possibility of a flash flood, move immediately to high ground. Don't wait for instructions to move.
Be aware of streams, drainage channels, canyons, and other areas which are known to flood suddenly. Flash floods can occur in these areas with or without such typical warnings as rain clouds or heavy rains. If you must prepare to evacuate, you should listen to the following. Secure your home. If you have time, bring in outdoor furniture. Move essential items to an upper floor.
Turn off utilities at the main switches or valves if you're instructed to do so. Disconnect electrical appliances. Don't touch electrical equipment if you are wet or standing in water.
If you have to leave your home, listen to these evacuation tips. Do not walk through the moving water, because even 15 centimeters of moving water can make you fall. But if you have to, you can go through the water where it's not moving, and use a stick to check the firmness of the ground in front of you.
If you are so lucky to own a car, you should remember the following points while driving in flood conditions. Avoid already flooded areas and areas subject to sudden flooding. Don't attempt to cross flowing streams.
If you are driving and come upon rapidly rising water, turn around and find another road. Move to high ground away from rivers, streams, creeks, and storm drains.
If your vehicle becomes surrounded by water or the engine stalls, and if you can safely go out, abandon your vehicle immediately and climb to high ground. Otherwise, you and your vehicle can be swept away. Don't forget, many deaths have resulted from attempts to move stalled vehicles.
Being extremely dangerous, floods make governments of different countries develop special protective programs to reduce and manage risks which flood bring to people, health, the environment, infrastructure, and property.
Unfortunately, these measures can't entirely prevent us from floods, and that's why we hope that those recommendations we give you will help you if you face a flood. But let's keep our fingers crossed. Floods can be scary, but remember, the water always goes away.
Thank you everyone for your attention. We hope that you enjoyed the time and get something useful for you from our presentation. And I'm sure that you have no questions.
We have some presentation. Can I say a few words?
Yeah, sure,
yes?
sure.
Well, I really enjoyed being with you today, and you showed good language skills, and you have mastered the material quite well. Well, the presentation was a success in general, but some of you were reading, which was a weak point, you see. Seriously damaged the general impression. And the second thing I would like to point out, perhaps next time when you are thinking of making a presentation, or just doing something of this kind, you see, think about other ways, other things, like quizzes, right? I think that you could easily do that, arrange the second part of your reports in quizzes, like offering, sometimes stupid things to choose from, or some humorous, attitude to the serious thing like a disaster. But it would, give, well, a different look at the material. You will involve the audience into your activity, and you will, well, you will learn the material better. So,
Thank you.
would you say from this recommendation?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.